In this video, I'm going to show you how to add length and flare to a knee-length skirt block. This is the front part of a block. Okay, so I want to add, I also need to mention that this is actually a half-size block because it's easier to get in the frame and easier to film. So I'm going to put 5 centimetres length, but if this was a full-size block, it'd be 10 centimetres length. So I'm going to use the grader. This here angle, which is my centre front seam on my hem, should be 90 degrees. So the new angle we make here is going to be 90 degrees. I'm going to use my grader to help me use this. Just line it up, line this line on the existing hem, and I'm going to just carry that line on down 5 centimetres, put a little mark at 5, and then I'm going to basically just turn that over, line my centre line of my grader up with my centre front line, and just carry that line on. So this angle here is 90 degrees, that's the important one. And this side seam might have a little flare on it, so this angle isn't as important as this one, so don't worry about that angle as long as this one's 90 degrees. Okay, so that's adding length. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to flare this skirt. I'm going to do this 2 ways. First of all, I'm going to add a little bit to the hip. So I'm just going to actually flare that hip line out. Okay, so that's our new side seam here. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add two lines, which I'm going to snip up, and I'm going to use those 2 lines to flare this skirt out a bit more. First, I'm going to just drag this line down to the hem. The next thing I'm going to do is find the halfway mark between the middle of the dart and the side seam, which is 4. Little mark there, and 4 at the bottom as well. This the line that separates the dart goes all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so basically I should be drawing 2 parallel lines there. Okay, so I've got all my planning lines in, I've got my new side seam. The next thing I'm going to do is cut this out, so I'll be back in a sec. So I've cut my pattern out, and I'm going to cut down this line from the hem right up the line to the bottom of the dart, and then this line here to almost the top of the waistband, but I'm just going to leave a little bit on so I can use that like as a little pivot point. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is get that stuck onto some new paper and get a new pattern cut. So the next thing I'm going to do is I've taped that down to the new paper just to secure it. The first thing I'm going to do is close this dart up. So this is called the slash and paste method. I think there's all sorts of different names for it. So basically I'm going to fold along that line, and I'm going to just put a bit of tape on to close the dart, and you'll notice that 2 things have happened. First of all, the waist has become a curve, which is fine because that will follow the curve of your waist, and the bottom of the dart, the bottom of the skirt has opened up. Okay, so the dart has been transferred into the width of the hem. Okay, so let me see how much I've opened that dart up. That's opened up just over 8 centimetres, so I think it'd be a nice idea to do the same with this as well, because depends on how wide you want your skirt. It depends on the fabric. If the fabric is nice and light and flowy, you can afford to have lots of width in it. If it's not so flowy, maybe not so much. Up to you. Okay, and I'm just going to tape them down in position. And the next thing to do is to connect up these original hems to make your new hem. Okay. So use your French curve for this, so you have a nice natural curve. Okay. The next thing to do is to put your seam allowances in. When you have this symbol here which says cut to fold, you don't add seam allowances because this part of the pattern is going to be cut on the fold of the fabric. I'm going to put a 1 centimetre seam allowance on this. Even if I was using the full size pattern, I'd probably just put a 1 centimetre on the seam of the seam allowance for the hem, because a curved skirt sort of really needs quite a small hem, a curved seam. Okay, so now I've done that, and I'm going to use my fold them up, find a nice bit of the curve and just join them up one by one. Okay. And then I'm going to add 1 centimetre to my side seam. Don't know if you can see that, I'm just lining up that line with my seam allowance. And I'm just going to carry on and do this, and then come back and see what it looks like. So that is how you add length and flare to your block, your new length block, and transform your pattern into something new. I'm going to go and do the back now. When I do the back, the thing to remember is to make sure that this measurement here is similar, okay, because you don't want too much gather on your front and not enough on your back. It needs to be even up the whole way around. So that's just one way of doing a flare. There are other ways of doing it, but this is a skirt that's not going to have a seam allowance in the front. Okay, so you don't have to worry about pattern matching or anything like that. Okay, I'm going to be back in a bit with the bodice instructions.